Hi, everybody. This is Gary Dean with Sentiment Timing, and this is our technical video report for Monday, March 24th, 2025. So, for the past really, say, week or so, I've been warning that we had a face ripping short covering squeeze that was pending, and that everybody that was getting ultra bearish on this market because of the tariffs, I've been explaining that it's not a reason to get bearish on the market, and the reason why was that they can change overnight, and all these tariffs that everybody's worried about can all of a sudden get put on hold or just not put on at all, and you're going to see the S&P up 100 points. And today was just talk about it being specifically targeted at certain countries and for certain sectors, and that's what sparked this rally. So you don't get bearish on the stock market for news that can change overnight. Meaning that Trump is a big he follows the stock market, he likes it, and he wasn't looking to crash it, so he could have turned the tables anytime and said, yeah, we're gonna slow down on the tariff talk, and then this is gonna what's gonna happen. So it was the total wrong reason to be getting ultra bearish on this market because of the tariffs. Now, as I was talking about up here, where everybody was saying that the pain trade is going to be not being long, and this market's not going down, you got to get long. And I was saying the seven stocks that got us to these nosebleed seats levels was that they were going to be the ones that were going to take us down, because fund managers were going to have to they weren't going to be able to hold on to the size of the position that they had in these stocks because their valuations were way overvalued. So the minute that they started unloading them, this happened, because you remember that these the Fab 7 is the one that brought this market straight up and without many real pullbacks. So the minute that the fund managers had to start unloading them, this was going to happen. But when we got about here, this is where the tariff talk started hitting. And they wanted to scare people. They really didn't want to scare people out of the market, because the stations that were saying how bad these the tariffs were and what they were going to do to the economy, they weren't even financial news stations. They were your CNN, MSNBC, your liberal stations, because they really want Trump to fail. But like I said, it's something that it could be turned any second, and this is what they were what they had to risk if you were getting really bearish. So I was anticipating that we were going to have, some backing and filling or a downturn into the 25th. We instead just went sideways. So this was the first clue that we were going to break out to the upside. Now, I was looking for March 25th. It happened on the 24th. Once you saw the S&P gapping up 60 points, anybody that was just thinking that it had to start on the 25th, that's my bad. I figured that everybody would know that. But in any case, we have some resistance right here. You can see the bulls came up to it. We don't have any bearish divergence here. So see how momentum is going straight up. We are very overbought here. So seeing some backing and filling, maybe down to the top of the gap right here. So let's go to a 15-minute chart. It's easier to see. So 57.16. So that's probably about 50 points down. And I don't think it's going to go in one shot on it. What I think is that we'll come down, bounce back up, and then come back down again. And you can see it's the moving average right here. It's support. And if we get that pullback, which would make sense, you're going to start seeing momentum here start coming back down. And then from there, we're going to get this type of sell signal. And that will probably take place as we run into our next turn date on near the April 8th time period. But during that time, I'm not ruling out, my first targets have always been the 5,800, 5,900. I am not ruling out a test of the 6,000 here. It's just where we are right now and the way this is going, I'm not ruling it out. But my initial targets have always been 5,800, 5,900. But being we're just starting this bullish phase is what has me thinking that we could go all the way up to the to that 6,000 level. So 15-minute chart, you can see we do have some bearish divergences right here. Resistance, 57.84. If the bulls can get above this level, then we're looking at a move up to the 58.56 level, which would be the next. Well, actually, yeah, this is the resistance right here, right around that 57.82. We have the gap right here. This is what I was looking at. So that's 58.16. Most likely, we will find some sellers right here, and that's where we'll do some backing and filling. But for the most part, I believe that any kind of nail biter to the downside that we may see is going to get bid up pretty quickly. And by the time we get up to this, if we get up to the 6,000 level, everybody's going to forget about the, the Trump tariff tantrum, and you're going to start seeing these guys that were telling you to buy at 61.54 because you're missing the boat come back out and tell you that you got to buy now, and most likely that is going to be our next top, and then we're going to have a month or so on the downside, and we'll probably be testing or even breaking these lows. So we're starting to move into the swing trading time period where we're going to see some real big moves up and down. The next one I do believe is going to be to the upside. It will probably last another week or so, maybe two. But after that, then we're going to start seeing a test of the lows. So let's see what plays out tomorrow. Just for the fun, we actually did 1627 today. Not a lot, but anybody who's been following me for a long time, whether we're gapping down or we're gapping up, I'm not a big fan of jumping in that direction. So basically, what I did is waited for the S&P to get stretched out. I sold the 5790 puts and the 5780s, and never even came close to it. So we ended up, it was a very easy trade, no stress at all. As a matter of fact, I closed it when we were down here, and I bought them for I think a $1.80 and sold them for 10 cents or 15 cents. But it was a very easy trade. So anyway, let's see what plays out tomorrow. Have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you guys in the morning.